You won't believe, they found 40-year-old bullets, making folks doubt if they'll fire. The guy confidently shouldered the rifle and fired off smooth bullets, not a care in the world. Hale instantly burst into a childlike giggle, signing the bullet purchase contract without a second thought, and they flew back to the U.S. like homing pigeons. They rushed to submit their bidding documents before the deadline, ensuring they looked competitive. They set the bid at $300 million, and after 5 months of waiting, the vacationing duo finally received the winning news, only to run into trouble after the pot. The first big headache was how to pass the government qualification check, since they didn't have a single reliable accountant. After some Photoshop wizardry, they managed to fake their documents and showed up for the interview just in time. To their surprise, the interviewer barely glanced at their fake documents. It was as easy as sipping water. You guys are $530,000 lower than your competition. Hill nearly lost it at this news, but they had to stick to the contract, since it was already inflated to 300%. After signing, David rushed back to draft the official purchase agreement. Although Hill signed it, he was already plotting something in his mind. So David headed solo to Albania, only to uncover a shocking secret. He arrived on site only to find that Albania's bullets weren't Soviet, they were gifts from China. Bullets with Chinese failed US military check. They had to ask Henry for help. To their shock, Henry was only in charge of sourcing, and everything else was none of his business. Hill had to rush to Albania, urgently letting David know they were running out of time. The only solution was to repackage the bullets and find a suitable bridge. He joked, "This is a Russian bridge, now it's an Albanian one." Though such behavior was not legal, they truly had no choice but to risk everything. Subtitles, they managed to locate the largest local packaging company, and the owner offered them a quote of $100,000, guaranteeing super high efficiency. On the surface, they were getting ready to negotiate, but inside, they were about to burst. By repackaging, they managed to slash a whopping 180 tons off the total weight. Just from air freight, they pocketed nearly $3 million. Talk about hitting the jackpot. But Hill was still displeased with Henry, and there was indeed a hidden story behind it. Subtitles. He found out by sources that Henry charged them 4 times the $2.50 he paid per bullet. Furious, Hill made a decision to bypass Henry and deal directly with the Albanian military. David panicked, warning Hill that this deal was all thanks to Henry. He emphasized that if Hill betrayed Henry, their safety would be at stake. But the very next night, armed men stormed into David's hotel room and gave him a beating. They stuffed him in the trunk and drove to an abandoned factory. Suddenly, Henry appeared, and David had an epiphany. Luckily, Henry just gave him a warning. Having narrowly escaped, he saw Hill's true colors and decided to regroup. He planned to gather all his paperwork and head back to the U.S. to rethink everything. However, the packaging company's boss demanded payment, and Hill turned out to owe him $100,000. David was shocked, realizing just how unreliable Hill was. He hadn't even paid for labor. Needing to escape, he promised the boss he'd pay as soon as he got back to America. Fueled by anger, David stormed into Hill's office. Even after telling him he almost got shot by Henry, Hill showed no signs of concern. In despair, David declared he was out for good and demanded Hill pay him the $4 million upfront. But Hill retorted with not a dime more, pushing David to the edge. Little did he expect, Hill had destroyed the contract while he was away. In a fit of rage, David grabbed the golden grenade that Hill had gifted him. After returning to his old line of work, David bumped into Rolf right after finishing his spa session. Turns out Hill wanted to reconcile through Ralph, the middleman, but he was still the same old dog. To keep David quiet, Hill prepared a contract that just needed David's signature. After signing, Hill would pay him $50,000 a year, but David thought that was just insultingly low. So David tore up the contract, refusing to back down and standing up for himself. This little incident also included Hill's fake books that took Ralph's cut, leading to yet another messy fallout. If you're curious about what will unfold next, make sure not to forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel.